Hey Flosstube, Ashley here, Boogie Stitcher on YouTube, Shleezem on Instagram, just coming to you guys with a kind of weekly-ish update. We are also going to be talking about Stitch Mania, what my plans have been, what they have come out to be, the result of week number 2 and 3. Yeah, didn't get a chance to make a video last week. We decided to go camping, so we did that, and it's been a really slow stitching couple of weeks in general. Kind of sad, especially since the Stitch Mania, but that's okay. It's life, and I'm having a good time, and every stitch counts, so let's go ahead and get started. So I definitely have been busy as far as like life is concerned. I'll save the life updates until later. But I've also been busy with stitching or cross-stitching the hobby in general, but not stitching. So for the second week of Stitch Mania, I decided I got my oldie and my goodie, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I didn't get a ton of stitching done on that because I decided to change the way I organize my floss. So originally, when I first did my floss storage, I first got started, I had everything on a bobbin. And I didn't like that it was kinking my fabric, my thread. I didn't like having to wrap everything up every time. It's too complicated for me. I didn't want to have to think about it. And every time I bought more floss that I didn't have in my stash already, I would have to reorganize everything to make room. I didn't like it. So then I switched to the baggies. Bunch of Ziploc bags with tape all in one giant box, and that was great. But then I found that I was leaving the bags all over the place. My floss was getting lost. I didn't like that either. And both of those storage things, organization that I was doing, I was sharing floss between all of the patterns that I have. So then I decided I was going to do floss cards. So well, I'll just show you one real quick. Floss card. So I had a floss card, and I decided that I was going to get enough of these to make, each project have their own floss cards and their own floss. Perfect. That was great until I went on a spending spree, and I can't seem to stop finding new patterns to start stitching on. And I was like, this is starting to get expensive to buy the same colors for each project that I had, but starting to get a little bit too much. So I decided, well, that's not for me, but I really like these cards. I was like, wait a second, how many cards do I have? So I started counting how many cards I had, and I had enough to put the entire DMC collection, I guess, so to speak, on all of the cards that I had. And then I can start sharing between projects again, so I'm not spending quite as much money on floss all at once. Obviously, it's still going to cost the same amount eventually, but then I can share all these cards per project. So as you can see, this one, I don't know, I can't see myself, but anyway, I had all these numbers taped on, and then I had the name of the pattern that they go with, so Treasure Hunt. So this one went to Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. In order for me to switch my storage, what I had to do is I had to basically take everything off of this. And the reason why is if I would have left anything on, I would have gotten confused, because I then had to I got these little DMC stickers, and I put the entire DMC collection, all the numbers on all of these. See? So I put them all on, and then I taped them on. And if moving everything around, if I would have left these old numbers on here, this was a D&D girl originally, I would have gotten confused on whether or not it was this number or if it was this number. Who would have known? So I had to take the time to take absolutely everything off and put everything back on. So now I have, This is all my floss, everybody. And I still have a giant bag of extras because I was buying one color per project. So yeah, I have. And I just have them attached. So I have like 6 on one, attached by like a little cord thing. 5 on another, and 4 on another, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, there's 6 on this one too, and then there's 4 on this one. So, and then in order to keep them somewhat organized, I was at Hobby Lobby and I found the stitching bag. Isn't this just the cutest? It's waterproof. It's got the handles. It's beautiful with roses. It reminds me of Poison Garden almost, except with a little bit more color. And on the inside, it has these storage pockets. So I have my scissors and my seam ripper and my little like thread neatening tool. I can never remember what this is called for some reason. No idea. But anyway, I have all that right in here. I have an empty pocket right here. It's not really a pocket, it's actually a spot for you to put your needles, like your spare needles. You can just put them in there, but I have a needle magnet storage thing. So then I have all of my pretty much everything else is basically in here. And then it has 2 sides. It has one opening right here, and this is where I keep all of my floss in this pocket. And then this other pocket is a project I'm working on right now, so I always kind of have it with me and kind of in the thing. So oh yeah, that's more my newie. So I could show you guys this right now. Oh no, let's stay organized. Anyway, this is, so I spent, that took me 2.5 days to do. And one of the days was one of the weekends, which is normally a lot of my stitching time. But I feel so much better now that it's done. So much better. I feel great. So it's more organized. I can now see what colors I'm missing. It's all right there. I just have one bag. Oh, feels so good. But anyway, that definitely wasted a lot of time redoing my organization. But let's get on to stitching progress. So for week 2, my oldie was In This Moment, which is somewhere around here. Here it is. I guess I didn't take it out of the bag. Took everything else out of the bag, but not this one. So for progress, I started In This Moment with, let me grab my, here it is. I started with 6,631 stitches and I ended with 8,048 for a total of 1,417. And it's kind of all wrinkled and everything, but this is where I got to. So super excited to start seeing, it was nice to pick this back up. And it's nice to start seeing some of the progress. I'm almost completely done with this first page. I'm only missing a couple stitches down here, and this is still part of the first page as well. And then the second page is definitely way underway. I would say I'm probably about halfway done with the second page. So this turns into flowers, and it's got a little bit more like flowers right here. So yeah, I think what I might do is once I hit or finish the second page, I might try stitching diagonally. Now, for you veteran stitchers out there, since I'm a beginner, I have not tried diagonal stitching. I find it quite confusing on how you would count, I guess. I do have Pattern Keeper, but I find it like if I am splitting stitches right here, how can I easily see like where I'm counting to, right? Because the blocks 10 by 10, right? So it's easy for me to see. But if I am stitching diagonally, I guess I am confused on how I would do that. What I would prefer to do is stitch like Teresa Little Stitcher stitches, or Jessie Does Stuff, how she stitches. Oh, it looks like I have a delivery. I always seem to have a delivery. when I'm doing my videos. Thank you. So anyway, I would love to be able to stitch how they do by 10 by 10 block, but diagonally. So what they do is they stitch this first block, and then I believe what they then do is they either park down below or park next to, if it's the top row. Then they always stitch or keep, I think, maybe you guys can, oh, thank you. Sorry. Anyway, if you guys can help me figure this part out, because this is what I find so confusing. So if I stitch this block right here, this very top block, I then park down or over to the side if it's only the top row. Then I can either stitch the second block down here or start stitching this top block up here. Now, if I'm understanding their stuff, their stitching style correctly, and this is what I find so confusing, is am I always going to be keeping the threads in this very first top block in that column? If so, then does that give column lines? Because I'm constantly keeping the color in this one like column, and then everything in this second block would be, and I don't know if you can tell like with how I'm actually showing you guys. Hopefully this is making sense, but I really need help with this. So the second block, all the threads would stay there or parked down, so they would stay in that column unless I'm parking to the left only if it's the top row. And then I just continue to start new threads every top row block. And then they constantly like park everything down, but then working kind of like in a staggered motion. But those threads are always staying in that column, if I'm understanding. So doesn't that cause column lines? I don't know. If you guys can help me out, because I'm a little confused as that. And I drew a little diagram to kind of help me try and figure this out. So this first stage, okay, I'm stitching this first block, okay, and then I'm parking either down or to the left, depending on what I can find, or I end my thread. Then on stage 2, I would stitch the second block and or this, yeah, I would stitch the second block and I would stitch down, but I wouldn't then, I would park down, but then I wouldn't park over here anymore because there would be threads up here at this top that I would be parking down. Does that make sense? And then whatever is left over, I would start a new thread color here and I would park down unless there's no symbol, and then I would park over to the right again. And just basically repeat that. I don't know. Anyway, if you guys can help me, that'd be great, because I would really like to be able to, all my projects start in the top left corner, and that's great. And I love being able to like just start somewhere kind of neat. But the problem I'm finding, and I think the reason why I get bored of my pattern so quickly, is because I stitch the first page. That one, it normally goes by fairly quickly, but that's normally background. So it takes me forever to finally get to like the goodies, the good stuff, man. The plot of the book. And so I get bored of it, and it takes me a while to pick it back up until I get the courage to start filling stuff in and moving on, so I can finally get to the good part of the pattern. So I get bored. And so I feel like stitching diagonally, I would reach it a lot faster. I would reach the good stuff a lot faster and not have to do quite as much of that background. But I find, or I have a feeling, that just stitching diagonally and not in 10 by 10 blocks, I would get lost fairly quickly, even with Pattern Keeper and being able to draw those lines. Maybe not. I'm just so used to cross-country stitching that parking for me is a whole new game. I have no idea. And when I don't know how to do something, it's like overwhelming. It's like, oh gosh, I can't even wrap my brain around it until someone sits down and talks to me like a baby. So anyway, any advice, leave in the comments below, because I'm super confused. But I would like to try and stitch diagonally like Jessie does stuff, and I'll link her channel below, or Teresa Little Stitcher. and I'll link her channel down below as well. They both stitch that way, but I just can't wrap my brain around it for some reason. And I've watched their Stitch With Me's, and I've watched their Teresa's Cross Stitch full coverage, like whole series, how to, and she kind of talks about it, but I still can't wrap my brain around it. Do you start new colors every top row, every 10 by 10 block on the top row, and just carry those all the way down, and pretty much that's it, unless it's the top row? Anyway, sorry for that huge explanation, but I'm just trying to understand and wrap my brain around it and explain it in a way that you guys can help me, because I really need help. Anyway, so there we go. There's In This Moment my new pattern. So this was a little, okay, my new pattern for the second week was what is it called? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to insert something right here. It's The Tree by Amy Stewart, the really long tree that I now can't think of. I'm pretty sure I posted in the last video. Anyway, so I started that on 18 count. Again, I'll post the name of it in the description box and or like on text on the video. I started that on 18 count Ada, and this is where I got. That's it, people. That is it, and I got bored. I was not liking it. I was not liking it at all. And I don't know if it's because it was the 18 count, how I was stitching it. I don't know. Now, I will tell you guys that I tend to start my projects 3 times before I'm in love with them. I don't know what it is. The rule of 3, I call it. But yeah, I wasn't feeling this. So then I started something else, which is what I was going to show you earlier. And this is going to be the first and last time that I show you guys this, because it's actually a gift. So I can't really show it any more than this. But then I started this after I make it a little neat for you guys, so it's not like a huge disaster. And get my hanging threads down here. So I started this, and I can't tell you what it is, and I can't tell you what it's going to be. I can't tell you the pattern or where I got it or anything, because it's going to be a gift. So this is stitched on 28 count linen, I think. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can show you. But that was one of my newbies, along with the tree, because the tree, I wasn't feeling it at all. There's no point in stitching if you don't feel like stitching it. So that was my newbie for week 2. My oldie for week 3 was Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. And I'm so sad that I didn't get as much stitches done on this either. This is probably like my worst week of stitching, just in general, because I went camping. And then I also, husband and I started looking at kayaks, which I'll explain a little bit later. But so yeah. So my oldie was Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. So I started with 13,642 and I ended with 14,160. So I only got 518 stitches done on this one. Definitely not where I wanted to be, but it is what it is. So I'm definitely going to be picking this one up here soon, because I feel like I just got started and then Thursday hit and I was like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? So I am going to try and stitch on this one tonight too. Today I think is going to be a somewhat calm day, hopefully. But yeah, so what I started doing with this one is I put it back in the Q-snap, so I wouldn't have to just keep moving the hoop everywhere. I am trying frantically to fill in stitches on the Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. I have so many empty stitches everywhere. This consists of like 4 different pages. I was doing extreme cross country on this, and I decided I'm doing that, and that's great, and then I can start seeing everything come to life. But then I have all these like stitches in here, these confetti, like empty stitches, and then I just don't feel like doing them. And then I was like, well, wait a second, I'm gonna end up leaving all of these all of these confetti stitches to the very end. And then I'm just gonna have to be filling in 1 stitch, 2 stitches here and there. And I was not gonna wanna do that. So I just need to bite the bullet and start filling it all in. So I picked whatever color was up here, I picked it and I stitched it until the thread ran out. And I just moved on. Pick the next color, stitch it until the thread ran out. Sometimes I would start the next color or the same color again and stitch 2 threads worth, or 2 loading of the needles, so to speak. And I'm just gonna keep doing that until I get everything that I have here filled in, because it's driving me crazy. And I think that's why I don't really want to work on this one, is because there's so much empty stitches that I feel like I can't move on. I don't want to move on because I want to see all this. So that's what I did. Let's see, I filled in a lot of this pink right here. I filled in a lot of this book over here. I filled in a lot of this tree right here. I filled in a ton. Well, 500 stitches worth. But for being mostly like confetti stitches, that is a pretty big number for me, doing confetti stitches and not just a big chunk. I didn't want to just scapegoat out and just pick like a mass color like 938 or something, just fill in a bunch of those stitches, because I don't want to fill in all this stuff. I want to fill in everything right here so I can then move on. So yeah, that was my oldie. Treasure on bookshelf. My newbie, my new goodie, was something that I could take camping with me. So it's one of my stamped kits. And that was, and of course it got a tiny bit wet, which is bad for this pattern because it's like not good. The picture did anyway. I brought the birds, and this, I know this is not a very good picture because this is all they gave me, but it's the birds with the cherry blossoms is what I worked on. And I got a fair bit done. I mean, it's a stamped kit, so I can't tell you how many stitches, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 600 stitches done while camping. So not too shabby. It does look a little bit dirty. Obviously, I was camping and stitching with dirty hands, but it'll all wash out. It's fine. So here's what I got. And let me tell you, as far as stamped kits are concerned, I really like the cotton. Honestly, it's just nice to be able to stitch cotton on a stamped kit. So again, this one is 169. Excuse me, 169 stitches by 169. So it's fairly decent size. And that's what I got. That's what I got done. Stamp kits, definitely the way to go when you're camping. Just because I can walk around camp and hold it in my hand and stitch and not have to worry about having a battery life on my phone, because when you're camping, you kind of run out of battery really fast. So that was my newbie. I'm not going to say what my, well, let's see, how many more oldies do we have? Gosh, we only have one more oldie left to do. Well, I guess it's no surprise then that I'm going to be working on the castle, my Disney castle, because that's it's almost the last week of May. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So going into week 4, I'll be working on the castle, and I will be starting a newbie, or maybe not. I haven't decided if I'm going to start a new project or if I'm just going to maybe work on one of my oldies that I didn't get a lot of stitching done on. Or maybe, I do have one more weekend, so maybe I'll be filling in my stuff with a new project, because that was the thing for Mania, right? Is to start a new project every weekend, and I got another weekend. Yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for joining me. If you're just here for the stitching updates, that's what I got. 2 weeks in one video because I was way busy. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me, listening to my spiel on all my crazy stitching stuff. So if you're only here for stitching updates, that is it. I appreciate you and thank you for stopping by. If you want to listen to a couple of life updates, then stick around and we'll talk about those right now. So life updates, yeah. So I went camping and my daughter and I got to paddle in a kayak, which was so much fun. It was my first time in a really long time. I have been kayaking before, but it's been like 10 years. Yeah, 10 years since I went kayaking. And it was so much fun. So I just put my daughter in the same kayak that I was in, and we rode around. I also had both babies in a kayak at one point in time, and that was a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun. A little cramped, but we did it. And so my husband and I decided that we were gonna get some kayaks too. It was great. So I've spent like the past 4 days researching kayaks, what kind of kayak I wanted to get, whether I wanted to get a sit on or a sit in, if I wanted to get a fishing one or a regular one, because I do like to go fishing. So I actually decided to get a sit in fishing. Yay! So I did that all yesterday. I went to go get my kayak. I got some J bars to put on top of my my car, so that way we can store them. Oh, I'm so sorry. Not store them, but transport them to and from the water. We then decided to get my daughter a kayak as well. So she got a little kayak and she was super excited about that. So we're going to be doing some kayaking as soon as my husband's kayak gets here. So that'll be super fun. But yeah, that's one of the contributing factors of not being able to stitch, is because I was too busy researching kayaks. It's nice to be able to start thinking about getting outdoors more. But definitely excited to start stitching. And then this next weekend, right? No, not this weekend, but the following weekend, I'm going to be getting a couple of tattoos. So that'll be exciting. I've been waiting a long time to be able to do them. I always knew that I wanted to get some more tattoos. I have one on my ribs right now, of a phoenix that's like dying and coming back to life, which is really cool. And I've always kind of wanted to get some more tattoos, but it's never really been a good time. Now is a good time. So I'm going to be getting 2 tattoos for an entire 8-hour tattoo session. So one's going to be on my ribs, and then one's going to be down on my hips. So super excited about that. It will take an entire day on a Sunday. So yeah, one less day of stitching. But today we are going to get back to stitching. I have cleaned maybe 70% of the house. I did grocery shopping. We have no plans today, so I'm going to have one more last stitch effort on stitching one of my oldies, and then we'll be starting something else this weekend. Tomorrow will be one of my new starts. Looking forward to that. So if any of you have any advice on that diagonal stitching, I will be starting my new start doing that. Like I said, I just don't really know where to park. And it's just like, ugh, drives me crazy. But yeah, that's it. That's it for Stitch Maynia week 2 and 3. Sorry for the late video, guys. Been super busy, but life happens. And, you know, I'm super excited to be able to start stitching again. Thank goodness, because stitching is my saving grace. So I hope you all have a great weekend. I will hopefully talk to you guys next week for week 4 wrap up of Stitch Maynia, and then for one more video. Gosh, the following, I guess Monday or Tuesday is like Monday. The following Monday is the last, not this coming Monday, but the following is the last day of May, I think. The 31st. Is that a Monday? Yeah, it's Monday. Super excited, guys. Take care. Happy stitching. Thank you for joining me. I hope you all have a fabulous day and weekend and get some stitching time in, or any hobby that you have. I hope you all enjoy your day. Take care. Bye, guys.